Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 1983 with no Eric Bischoff, as we're finally at Halloween Havoc 1993 live from the Lakefront Arena in New Orleans, Louisiana. Sorry for the slight delay on this, but life. But anyways, we're on to the actual show. As we start with, the standard issue of WCW Cheesy opening video involving Tony Schiavone, answering some answer the door, what he thinks give out candy, but it turns out it's the various stars of WCW, including Dustin Rhodes looking to get the World title, World Heavyweight title, Arn Anderson looking for Ric Flair, and Cactus Jack going bang bang and then stealing all the candy. This gets a 73, perfectly solid stuff. Then we go into our opening match, which is in a good, decent match. Steven Regal defeated Johnny B. Bad in 12:32 by pinfall by using underhand tactics, and Regal makes defense number 2 of his United States Heavyweight title. This just gets a 64, which is really solid. I really think I've done a good job of building up Regal fairly quickly, since he was really not over when I first started. But yeah, this is, your perfectly solid mid-card title match, as, Bad does his combination of brawling and bit of high flying, and Regal comes back with his technical skills, and in the end, Regal's able to hit some sort of cheat move, underhanded tactic, get a roll-up / cradle on Bad, and retain the title once again. Again, 64, and this is actually really good, considering that I got this is the 4th match warning, so, good stuff. Real good 61, Bad gets a 58, but probably this is the end of the storyline as far as with Bad. And then Regal celebrates, but it gets a 64 as well. Then we move on to our next match, which is in a 8-man tag in a decent match. Ron Simmons, Marty Jannetty, 2 Cold Scorpio, and Shane Douglas defeated Jacques Rougeau, Scotty Flamingo, Terry Taylor, and Vinny Vegas in 12:28 when Shane Douglas pinned Terry Taylor. So this was an 8-man tag involving people who weren't on the show that I wanted to give some sort of push and pay-per-view time. So on the face side, you got, Simmons and 2 Cold are sort of like erstwhile babyface tag team. Marty Jannetty, who, has been getting a quasi-push the last couple of months as I brought him in. And Douglas, who I don't want to turn into a total dropper and send off to ECW. We got Jacques Rougeau, who Jenny is now a mid-card standard bearer. Scotty Flamingo and Vegas, who are getting a push as TV title and, manager of Vegas and host of Flamingo's Inn and also wrestler. And Terry Taylor, who is frankly there. So this gets a 57, back and forth match. Douglas, 8 brawl. Douglas gets the big belly to belly, even though it says Pacific Plug, and gets the big victory, get big win. And Douglas gets a 43, Scorpio gets a 54, Jenny gets a 57, Simmons gets a 59, Vegas gets a 47, Taylor gets a 54, Scotty Flamingo gets a 47, and Rougeau gets a 59. So good stuff. And then the babyface celebrating gets a 51. So then we go on to our tag team title match, as anybody had good heat in Eastern Wrestling. The brand new tag team champions of Eaton and Benoit defeat the Powers of Pain in 11:53 when Benoit pinned Warlord with a diving headbutt. Eaton and Benoit make defense number 1 of their tag team titles. So even though they won the tag titles in part to the Horseman interference, they win their first defense clean here, as this gets a 65. Benoit gets a 68, Eaton gets a 64, Warlord gets a 54, Barbarian gets a 57, and good, standard issue win. As sort of I don't say we default the titles back to the mid-card title, but this moves it away from the Blonde sort of semi-permanently and moves things forward, so we don't have to deal with sort of top guys holding the tag titles. And then, Benoit and Eaton celebrate, quits a 61 because, it's Benoit and Eaton, not exactly expecting a huge pop there. Then we have our next match, which is sort of our first, we have, I don't want to say 6 main events because that's silly, but 6 big matches. As in, Buckhead have fantastic heat and great wrestling. The Hollywood Blondes beat Sting and Ryan Ricky Steamboat in 1952 when Brian Pillman pins Sting with an air Pillman. So, this is clean, but, the Blondes cheat beforehand, lots of cheating, double teams, attacks on the outside, and the end is, Austin really brawling Sting on the outside. Sting is able to, make a tag to his partner because he's, brawling with Austin. And at the end, Pillman is able to his air Pillman on a Sting that's been basically taken apart for 5 or 6 minutes in a row, and Pillman gets a huge win over the franchise of WCW. This gets an 81, like I said. Steamboat gets an 83, Sting gets an 84, Pillman gets an 81, and Austin gets a 63. Good stuff. And then, of course, and then the Blonde Celebrating gets a 71. Good stuff. Then we were on to our 5th match from the top, as in a bout that had great heat and good wrestling. Dustin Rhodes defeated Barry Windham in 16:54 with the running Bulldog to win what they say is the World Heavyweight title. So what happened here is I didn't realize, when I did the restart of this game, that WCW is not actually part of the NWA. So all those times I forgot to, borrow the NWA title, I just couldn't. I thought it was I was making a mistake because I was in the PM section, but we just weren't part of the NWA title. So, Barry Windham is still the WWE Championship like we did in real WCW 1993. It's now the International World Title, or they'll just refer to it as the World Title. It's still big gold and all that fun stuff, but, there you go. But in the end, back and forth match. Windham and Rhodes, of course, are both great wrestlers. They fight, they brawl. Windham hits the big superplex, but Rhodes gets his feet on the ropes. Dustin fights back, and the Natural Science hits a huge Bulldog, gets the pinfall victory as Dusty openly cheers for his son, gets the 1, 2, 3, and is the new World Heavyweight Champion. But not the NWA World Champion or the NBC World Champion, just the World Heavyweight Champion. This gets a 77, Rhodes gets a 68, Windham gets a 77, and of course Rhodes and Windham have great chemistry, as you'd expect. And afterwards, Dusty goes to the ring and celebrates with his son, who has, won the world title for the first time in his career. And this gets a 71. Moving on to our next match, which is a bout that had fantastic heat and good wrestling. Rick Rude defeated Rotor Hawk in 11:57 by pinfall with Rude Awakening. So again, back and forth, sort of like brawl. Really, honestly, just more of a WWF style match than a WCW style match, as they just fight and fight. Brawl, impact moves. But in the end, Rude is just a little bit better and able to actually get the clean victory with the Rude Awakening over Hawk. He lands right on his injured shoulder, and Rude is able to pick up the pinfall victory. This gets a 73. Rude gets a 77. Hawk gets a 64. Solid stuff. Hawk was tiring at the end, but still a good, solid win for Rude as he continues his ascent back up after, getting a few tough losses earlier in the year. And post-match, of course, Rude celebrates to a 68. And then in our semi-main, I think, yeah, it's our semi-main, or is it? No, it's our third from the top, right? Okay. As an exceptional match, Ric Flair defeats Arn Anderson by pinfall with, of course, a handful of tights. So in 1702, this gets an 82, Flair gets an 88, Arn gets a 74. So, again, back and forth match, really good WCW, build-up style. Flair goes after the knee, Arn goes after the back and neck. Arn goes for a DDT, but Flair avoids it. Arn hits the spine buster, but Flair rolls out. Arn fights back. Flair, of course, because he's a babyface, hits a big crossbody from the top and actually lands it, but does get the pinfall victory. And in the end, because he's Ric Flair, he cheats. He low blows Arn, hits a roll up, puts his feet on the ropes, and gets the pinfall victory. And of course, a pop fan cheers for it because of Ric Flair being a babyface, so they're all okay with it. And then post match, Ric Flair celebrates to a 69. Nice. Ric Flair's favorite number, probably. But And then we have our actual semi-main event. And he both had a fantastic heat and great wrestling. Well, okay, that's probably a push. Great wrestling of a sort. Sid Vicious defeated the British Bulldog in 11:48 by pinfall. This is only using the ropes for leverage, but what actually happens here is, this is, as you expect, this is not a technical masterpiece. This is just two big SOBs brawling. Sid fights with chokes. British Bulldog hits a huge vertical suplex, big clothesline. Sid fights back. In the end, Sid is able to, basically hit Sid's Bulldog with a chair on the outside of the ring, roll Bulldog in, hit the powerbomb of doom, and get the pinfall victory. And this gets a 78. Sid gets an 80. British Bulldog gets a 77. And, a huge win for Sid, as after beating Sting, he's now defeated another former world champion, the British Bulldog. And yeah, there we go. 78. Sid gets an 80. Bulldog gets a 77. Solid stuff. Then in post-match, in the post-match, Sid celebrates, which to a 74. So yeah, just, big win for Sid as he continues the push that he probably would have gotten in real life WCW 1993 if not for the whole scissors thing. And now it's main event time, so I'll actually go through this match. So, basically, if you've seen the actual real-life Cactus Jack Vader Texas Death match they had in real life for this on the show, basically, it's that match, just as violent, just as bloody, just as hugely impactful, but we don't have the taser spots, as in the end, Cactus Jack just wallops Vader with a chair over and over again, and it's not one, not two, but 3 double arm DDTs right in a row on the chair, and Harley comes in to try to save it, but Cactus Jack sort of nails him with a clothesline, and the ref counts to 10, and Cactus Jack gets the massive victory and becomes a new world champion. In a bout that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, Cactus Jack defeated Big Van Vader in a Texas Death match in 1519 when Big Van Vader was pinned with a double arm DDT and could not beat the 10 count. Cactus Jack, Mrs. Foley's little baby boy, is your new WCW World Heavyweight Champion. This gets a 77. Vader gets an 86. Jack gets a 74. Vader and Cactus Jack have great chemistry. Match got the crowd buzzing. And Cactus Jack celebrates to end the show with the world title in his hands, on his knees, as the crowd cheers. Overall, this show gets a 77. Good stuff. So we'll go with Cactus Jack. Let's see here. Actually, because he did the job, but also had a good match, we'll go to bad. And Bray Windham. So let's see our actual news here. And then we'll go over the overnesses of everybody's changes due to the pay-per-view. And then we'll see where we're at as far as the video, because this might be a slightly shorter video than normal just because I want to get something up. As this continues to load through. Loading, loading, loading. Lots of loading. Alrighty. A lot of contracts ending, which is interesting. So DiBiase and okay, so Kamala, I might bring him back in about like 3 months. But $1 Million Man is very interesting. Like, let me just see what he's looking at. So negotiate. So he's being currently offered $100,000 per month. Okay, so if we go $110,000, 2 years, events and 8 TV shows, 20. Let me see, is there anything? Let's go 30% event. You'll get 50% of any merch. And we'll give you a $75,000 signing bonus. And again, Slaughter, let me see here. Like, Like, he's over, but he has, like, basically no wrestling skills anymore. Like, he can just do a brawler, and I don't need a guy who can, like, is, like, we're at Snake 93 star, so he can still do something interesting, maybe. Screw it, we need more mid-card baby faces. Say 2 years. In events, 30% for event, 50%, and a 40,000. There we go. And Kamala, let's see here. Negotiate. Okay. So freelancer, so he's just moving on. Okay. Let me just see what Hulk Hogan's contract would be. So yeah, 318, 2000, 20% mention. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we're not signing out. I mean, also like that sort of kills the point of doing something different if we just resign Hogan. Yeah. So let me look real quick at our news. Let's see here. We got yeah, so we got 350,000 buys, which actually makes sense. Rhodes thinks Steven Regal is clumsy. That's hilarious. But yeah, okay, so. Let's look at the roster real quick. So. If we make this to major star. So Vader's popularity. Let's see if it took a real new dope. Okay, so he lost a couple points, which makes sense. Not the end of the world or anything. Now Pillman, did he get a big decent boost? Pillman, okay, so Pillman actually like grew 5 or 6 points. Ric Flair, let's see here. Flair still, I mean, he lost a bit because like he did that big TV job for the tag titles. So yeah, that makes sense. Now Rude, let's see here. Rude dropped a point because he just hasn't been pushed quite as hard. Sid is basically holding steady or raising up a little bit, so that makes sense. Sting's actually, yeah, okay, so I need to kind of rebuild Sting, because I've sort of killed him the last couple ones, which makes sense because I've done 2 big jobs for him. And Bulldog lost a couple points as well. Alright. So let's get stars. So Arn, let's see here. Arn stayed steady because, yeah, he dropped a Flair, so not a huge deal. Windham, let's see here. Windham dropped a couple points, but he can be rebuilt fairly easily. Now let's look at Cactus. Okay, so Cactus. Oh, interesting. Winning the world title did not do that much for him, which is interesting because he beat Vader. It was a big match. It was a big win. It So that's, I don't say unfortunate, but yeah, something we have to look at. Dustin got a big boost, though, from winning the title and beating Windham, which is good. Ricky Steamboat, let's see here. Steamboat, I think, has lost. Yeah, Steamboat has lost. Yeah, he did that. So he did 2 big shows. First he lost to the Blondes, and he lost to the tag title match. So yeah, that makes sense. So he needs to be real built. Meanwhile, Austin gained a couple points. So yeah. Again, unfortunately, when, we need to make new stars, and that's sort of how you do it. So let's look at Benoit real quick. Benoit, okay, so Benoit gained 10 points thanks to his tag title win. Let's look at something like JBS. So Storm, thanks to just winning consistently, being on TV, is gaining popularity. Did Bad lose a lot? Let me see here. Bad, no, actually gained because he got some big wins. Gen 80, let's look at you real quick. Gen 80, okay, Gen 80 steady. Ba-dum-bum. Steven Regal. That's his skills, not his popularity. Regal, okay, Regal's solid. Again, beating a guy you beat before is not a huge deal. Let's see, is there anybody else who we really care about as far as their popularity? Let's check out Shane Douglas real quick, just to see. Okay, so winning that tag match should help him boost up. And Vegas has his very long TV title reign, helped him a lot because it's mostly been on Saturday night. Let's see here. Okay, I mean, he lost the pay-per-view loss to hurt him. Okay, so at least we know where we're at. So next up will be a Clash of the Champions, which we're going to change the date of because it's in 9 days according to that, and that's just not right. But yeah, we're going to do that, and then we'll do Starrcade, so that'll be the next thing. And we have Cactus Jack as new world champion, but it's unclear who will be the number 1 contender to that world title. Will it be Vader getting a rematch after just losing the tag title? One could say sort of in an non-normal type of match, or it'll be Sid, who just won a big match for Bulldog. Could it be Ric Flair, who just beat Arn Anderson? I mean, hell, it could be one of the Hollywood, Pillman just beat Sting, who's a franchise. There's all sort of people who could lay claim to be number 1 contender, and we'll figure out who that is in the next couple weeks, I guess. But yeah, to just go over a couple things again real quick, storylines wise, we got the mid-card battling, which is just all our tag teams and mid-card guys. That's at a 65. And NWA title, quote unquote, is at 76. Tag title storyline, which is really just the Flair Austin Blonde storyline, which is an 80. US title storyline, which is basically just all our mid card guys, including Rick Rude and Regal, is at 70. Sid, Sting, and Bulldog is at 79. And Cactus Jack Vader is at 76. If we look at our creative, top guy is Sting, Flair, Rude, Pillman, Bulldog. So yeah, next big things is Rhodes, Austin, Robbie V. Who's hot is Flair, Pillman, Rude, Vicious, Sting. Who's not is nobody, which is good. Let's see here. Creative, figurehead, product, popularity. Let's just look at that real quick. Size, there we go. So we check our progress. So yeah, again, we need to get a little bit better. Our people need to get a little more over, and people need to be a little bit better in order to keep on getting popularity, which should hopefully happen soon. Backstage is still currently A-OK. Again, top 100s. Halloween Havoc was not one of our best shows, but it was still a solidly good show. And match-wise, Flair and Steamboat going double count with Arn and Brian is still our best match ever, which makes sense. Sid and Sting is our second best. Arn Flair is also our second best. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything on Havoc made our top. No, okay, Blonde versus Sting Steamboat was there, so that was number 14. The tag titles, which is also a really good match. Flair and Arn was also really good. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, so basically Flair, Rude, Steamboat, Sid's, people you'd sort of imagine. But, again, like I said, I'm going to make this a shorter than normal video just because I want to get something out. So the next video, with this will be our actual, post Havoc start to build Starrcade video. Then we'll go on from there. But, if you enjoy this, go ahead and give it a like. Subscribe to your channel for lots of TEW 2020 content like this, including, this series, my MLW 2005 series, my long-running WCW 2001 series, now in 2003, and heading towards Starrcade 2003. Everything's heading towards Starrcade, I guess, in my videos, and Cornellverse weekends, which I'm going to try to get more consistently. Hopefully, back on the train, this weekend. But, that's it for now. Talk to you later, and have a good one. So, adios.